Cover-ups have begun, and these guys are not even ashamed. What I am about to reveal to you today is going to shock you, because we are finally connecting the dots. Do you even know that the building DJ Warras was working on, the exact spot where he was executed, is actually owned by the city of Johannesburg? I want you to pin that in your mind right now. Lock it in, because later in this video, you are going to see exactly why that matters. If you want justice for our DJ Warras, please hit the like button and subscribe right now. We are fighting a system that wants us silent. First, I need to tell you that there is a massive cover-up going on. In normal countries, when a high-profile murder is caught on CCTV, the footage is released to the public immediately so the killer can be identified. But here, they are hiding the tapes. They are buying time. They want to buy enough time for that guy with the dreadlocks to get to a barber, cut off his hair, change his identity, and disappear into the shadows. They are protecting the shooter because the shooter knows who sent him. To show you how much they are disrespecting us, look at what happened in the United States almost on the same day DJ Warras was killed. Same day, different continent, but watch the response. Dilamini, show the people the video of how they do it in the USA within hours.
We're asking for the public assistance in identifying this individual that we're about to show you, and we'll release this video on Twitter, on our Twitter account momentarily. I'm going to turn to the video behind us. I'll be able to show you in 2 seconds. Officer Mangan, if you can just activate put the videos up. So this is the first video that we're showing you. This is the individual walking. It's on the sidewalk of Benevolent. And this is prior to the incident. Here we go again with is this video too, Mike? Again, you see him walking. Move on to the third video. This is some photos of this individual. And they will all be time-stamped. The last photo. Thank you. So we'll be providing this as well, and I ask you all to please make sure you put them up, and then anybody in the public that has any info about this individual, we ask that you call our tip line, and we'll also have the numbers in the website.
Look at that. Within hours, the police are standing in front of the world. They aren't hiding behind investigations. They are showing multiple angles, clear photos, and time-stamped evidence. They understand that a camera is a useless piece of plastic if the public isn't allowed to see the face of the killer. They release that evidence because they don't have a political syndicate to protect. But in Johannesburg, the footage is a state secret. They tell us, a man with dreadlocks, but they won't show us the walk, the face, or the clothes. Why? Because identification leads to an arrest, and an arrest leads to a confession. And that confession would blow the lid off R1 billion property mafia. To understand why Warras was killed, you have to understand the money. Listen to this brave man who decided to stop being afraid.
I'm very angry about what's going on in the Johannesburg fire situation. Now, for those that don't know, because the media is deliberately misleading people, politicians are always saying things that try and confuse and mislead people. Let me break it down to you so you're... Now, there's over 100 buildings that they claim is hijacked. Let me explain what that actually means in English. What that means is that they sit down, they register NGOs in their children's names, in their relatives' names, and they claim those buildings from the city of Joburg for themselves. So an NGO for gender-based violence, an NGO for Nyaupe children, an NGO, they register random NGOs, and these NGOs get free buildings from government. What they then do is that they then hijack the buildings themselves and begin to collect rentals. So from these buildings, the same building we were at yesterday, the building that burned down, there were rentals being collected. People who lived in the area informed us that they were people who came in and collected rentals. Now, this is a building that's been given to NGOs. Why are rentals being collected? This is an actual building that somebody through an NGO owned and then thereafterwards pretended as though it's hijacked and they were collecting rentals. Now, when we did the calculations ourselves, the rentals were about 300,000 Rand being collected every month in cash. Because these guys would send in people with guns to collect rent from people that lived in there. And there's over 100 buildings in Johannesburg where this happens. Now the media is going to act like nothing's wrong. The people are saying, you know what, it's foreigners, etc., etc. We know that there's a syndicate working. We know that political parties in the city of Johannesburg are allocating buildings to themselves through NGOs, making profit. In one of the buildings, 5 million Rand is collected in cash every single month. And the reason they all blame is to say, no, these NGOs take the people to court and they actually force people, the city can't do anything, our hands are tied. Of course they do that. They're collecting funds every single month. I don't understand why the media is not asking the people that are actually involved to find out what's going on. So there's a whole lot of corruption and we need to open up our minds and actually see it for what it is.
This is the key to the whole execution. This man is exposing a system where politicians register fake non-profit organizations in the names of their children and their relatives. They claim these buildings for free from the city, telling us they want to help victims of abuse or kids on drugs, but the moment they get the keys, the charity disappears. They hijack their own buildings and send in men with rifles to collect rent in cash. One building alone can generate 300,000 Rand every single month. And in the bigger ones, they are collecting 5 million Rand in pure, untraceable cash every single month. No banks, no taxes, just bags of money moving from the poor straight into the pockets of the elite. Warras wasn't just a DJ. He was a security professional who was about to disrupt this cash machine.
Needs to be asked is, with the building, and MMC Chwako was quite correct. We reported about this yesterday, that DJ Warras was indeed, called in to assist with that hijacked building. There are a number of individuals, I understand, who are not paying rental in that building. The owner wants to reclaim the building. So DJ Warras was brought in for those particular purposes. And I understand from some of our very close sources, this included some security measures that he was going to install, including biometrics. So if you don't pay your rent, we can lock you out, right? We have a consistent...
Listen to Griselda Lewis. She confirms it. Warras was at the Zambezi building to install biometric access systems and CCTV cameras. In the world of the non-profit organization mafia, biometrics are a death sentence. If you install a fingerprint scanner or facial recognition at the front door, you create a digital audit trail that cannot be deleted. You can no longer hide how many people are paying rent. You can no longer have ghost tenants. Warras was effectively trying to digitize a shadow economy. He was going to provide the hard data that would prove exactly how much money, those millions of Rand, was being stolen. He was an IT threat to a system that requires total darkness to survive. The hitman wasn't there for a watch. He was there to protect a 5 million Rand monthly income stream. If Warras finished that job, the middleman system would have collapsed. But look at the betrayal here. Remember what I told you to pin in your mind about who owns that building?
Another tenant who maintains that they have been doing things legally and that they've been paying the municipality monthly, but the MMC is saying, but you are then listed as one of the units who haven't been paying rent for over a year. Now, what we do understand is that this particular building is owned by the Johannesburg municipality. I'm actually just going to move out of shot just to give you those visuals.
The Zambezi building is owned by the city of Johannesburg. It is your property. Yet, the tenants tell the reporter they don't pay the city. They pay a middleman. They pay a committee. This is exactly what the whistleblower warned us about. The city owns the building on paper, but a shadow syndicate owns the cash. When the police finally raided the building after the murder, they found 37 units where rent hadn't been paid to the city for a year. But you know those families were paying that middleman at gunpoint every month. The city ignores the missing money because the people collecting it are their own political allies. Now, watch how the city leadership tries to run away from the man who was actually trying to fix their mess.
Reportedly ran a private security company. Do you know whether he was securing buildings on behalf of the city? Basically, did he have a contract with the city to do this kind of work?
No, Cole, he did not have any contract with the city at all. We don't have any companies or anything that security companies that are involved in evicting people in the building. If you want to evict individuals, you go and get a court order, then that court order is sent to the SERP. So the SERP will do a joint operation, a JOC, where all stakeholders will come into we're all going to be together in terms of the SERPs, your JMPD, your POPs, everyone. So they will be there, and there will be a date given that we're going to do evictions. But what we are gathering at this point in time is a developing stories in saying that, this just happened. So the guys are on the ground. I'm getting some reports as well, because I said to you that we need to ask questions as we investigate what is happening, who is there, and what is the motive. So we're asking ourselves, what does DJ Warras, what was he doing in the downtown city of Johannesburg? Who is he? What, there's a killing, is there someone looking for him, and all those things. So we believe that he was sort of helping some building owners.
Did you see how fast Dr. Chwaku was to distance the city from Warras? He said he had no contract with the city. This is the clean hands maneuver. If the city owns the building, and Warras was there to install high-tech security, who gave him the keys? Who authorized him to be there? If the city didn't hire him, and the syndicate didn't hire him, then Warras was acting as a proxy hero for anti-corruption insiders who were trying to bypass the rot. By denying a contract, the city is effectively washing its hands of the blood. They are saying he was there on his own, while they continue to let middlemen collect millions of rand in buildings they claim to own.
Hijacked buildings, especially around CBD. Can you walk us through how a building gets hijacked?
Well, there are a number of options that the syndicates would use. For example, it's a government building, and you probably took people in there on a temporary basis, and eventually they don't move out. Then there's a syndicate that takes them over, forces them at gunpoint to pay rental, and they pay rentals to the syndicate. The syndicate guarantees that they will not move out of the building.
What's the stage during?
That they'll find different ways. If government comes on that day, they'll mobilize, come out, try to stop, because you can shoot at them. The court says you can't remove them unless you have a court order, and you must have found them an alternative accommodation.
He explains why the city can't do anything. The law requires alternative accommodation before evictions. And the city has no alternative accommodation, so the buildings stay hijacked forever. The syndicates keep collecting, the politicians keep profiting, and the law designed to protect the poor becomes the shield for billion-rand theft. That's not a bug, that's the design. The city doesn't want alternative accommodation because the moment those buildings are cleared, the cash flow stops. The NGO scheme collapses. The political funding dries up. Warras walked into this system with technology that would expose it all. And 4 days after filing protection orders that named specific people, specific threats, specific evidence, he was dead. Let me lay out the timeline so it's crystal clear. December 12th, Warras files protection orders in court against 6 people at Zambezi building. These are legal documents, public record, they name names, they describe threats. They would have led to questioning, to investigation, to discovery. But the court postpones the hearing to February, not December, not January, February, 2 months away. Was that normal backlog or convenient delay? December 16th, 4 days after filing those orders. Someone tells Warras he doesn't need his bodyguard. The person who's always with him isn't there. Why? Because when you're planning a hit, you need the target alone. No witnesses, no backup, no one to return fire. Warras goes to Zambezi building. 3 men approach him. They shoot him multiple times. They don't rob him. Don't take anything. Just kill him and run. Professional execution. Within hours, the city issues a statement. MMC Chwaku says no contract with Warras. Legal distance established. Not our responsibility. Not our fault. 2 days later comes the raid. Big show for cameras. Question the tenants. Take 4 enforcers in for interrogation. The exact 4 Warras named in his protection orders. Then release them. No charges. And through all of this, the CCTV footage stays hidden. The footage showing 3 shooters clearly. The footage that could be identified by the public in hours, that footage stays locked away. Why? Because the moment those faces go public, someone recognizes them. The arrests happen fast. And those shooters get offered a deal. Talk or spend life in prison. They'll talk. They'll say who paid them. That person gets picked up. Same deal. He talks. Names the NGO. The NGO officials get brought in. They talk. Name the committee. The committee members get questioned. They name the politician's relative. Maybe 4 people in that chain, maybe 5. But it's a short chain from trigger to City Hall, and it breaks fast with public pressure. But only if that footage gets released. Only if the public can see those faces. That's why they're buying time. Time for dreadlocks to be cut. Time for appearances to change. Time for the trail to go cold. Time for us to forget and move on to the next story. But here's what they didn't count on. The reporter mentioned something critical. Warras had filed 5 protection orders, maybe 6, against specific people. Those documents exist in court files. They're public record. They name names. They describe exactly what was happening at that building. Who was collecting rent? Who was making threats? Who was trying to stop the biometric installation? Those documents are evidence sitting in plain sight, and they lead directly to the enforcers working for the committee, running an NGO, registered to a politician's family. That's the chain. That's the proof. It's already documented in legal filings. The MMC talks about investigating the motive, about asking questions, about gathering information. But he's not investigating up the chain. He's not following the money. He's not auditing the NGOs. He's not questioning politicians. He's managing the narrative, controlling the story, making sure the investigation stays focused on street-level criminals and never reaches the government offices where the real decisions are made. And that's why the CCTV footage will never be released, because solving this murder means exposing the system, and the system is worth too much to too many people. The shooters are expendable, the enforcers are disposable, but the politicians collecting billions, they're untouchable. Unless we refuse to let it go, unless we keep asking questions, unless we keep connecting the dots they don't want connected, unless we make enough noise that the silence becomes more dangerous than the truth. That's why this video matters. That's why sharing it matters. Because every person who sees this is another person who knows. Another person who won't accept the lies. Another person demanding answers. The cover-up has begun, but it doesn't have to succeed. We have the timeline. We have the contradictions. We have Braveman's testimony about the NGO scam. We have the evidence that the building is city-owned. We have the fact that 37 units aren't paying the city, but are paying someone. We have the protection orders Warras filed. We have the court postponement. We have the missing bodyguard. We have the professional execution. We have the city's denial. We have the raid that arrested nobody. And we have the hidden CCTV footage. Rest in power, DJ Warras. Your death won't be meaningless. Your sacrifice will expose them all. The cover-up has begun, but so has our fight for truth. And we will not stop until justice is served. Thank you for watching.